and now your reality becomes delightful. So we have the ability as singularity, sovereign beings to create another reality right here amongst this reality.
Once you anchor your being in the living grid of creation, then you're sort of in the center or in the eye of the storm, because yes. I think we know, and the reason why I think, Dwaine, we came here carrying some sort of memories of sovereign state of being, and we are here for, and there was a reason that we did come in that way with that kind of memory, is so then we right now can remember, and we can remember together as well. Mm-hmm. And so I think our conversation today was really interesting. I think we can maybe say a few more things why it is really important right now to stand in this power that is the human essence, because that is the potential from what we grow, and the evolution of human consciousness is what we're focusing on. And so if we are to evolve our consciousness, because I think at this point, many of us, and with people that I am having conversations with, we're all sort of on the same page. We understand that the human consciousness is in evolution, and this evolution is about to take a huge leap. And this is what we want to focus on. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Return of the Warrior. I'm Lily Kolosova, and today on my show, I have a guest, Dwaine Hartman, from DwaineHartman.com. And I welcome you, Dwaine, to our show. And our topic for discussion today with you will be Discover Your Sovereignty. So this is our topic. So thank you so much, Dwaine, for being here, and I welcome you to Return of the Warrior.
Blessings to you, and thank you for having me on your show. Returning to this sovereign state inside of us right now is very, very important. And this state inside of us is something that was basically hypnotized out of us. And now we're bringing it back and living from that essence inside of us. And you see the movement of this happening all over the world, where people are coming into their own power. And it's a delightful time, isn't it?
This is a very important time we live in. And in fact, I'm very excited to have you on this show today, and specifically the topic that we're going to be discussing, the sovereignty of being, or the sovereign being, as we get to know. And this is the terminology that a lot of people are using these days. And so we want to get into this a little bit more into details about the sovereignty state of being. And so what I wanted to start with is I want your perspective, Dwaine, on what you see or what you know from your own experience as a sovereign creator being here in this reality. So I'm going to go ahead and start this conversation with that question: is what is sovereign being? So
okay, I have to kind of start that by kind of giving a little bit of my story as to what happened to me.
That's beautiful.
I have full memory of coming in here as a sovereign being. I have full memory of holding two orbs of light in my hands, holding them to my chest, and loving myself into being here as a sovereign being. There's an energy about that, about being in complete alignment with source energy, where source energy is not separate from who you are. And when I came in, the first emotion that I was met with on this plane of existence was guilt for remembering that, because of course that's when the programming begins, right? And it's taken me most of my life to come out from behind that rock, as I call it, hiding behind that rock, or feeling that guilt for remembering. But letting it go and coming out, I started to open up more and more to what I was originally when I came in. And most people have a memory of what it was like to come in here and to be sovereign before you came in. My feeling of what this sovereignty is the original relationship with source energy, where you're not even in one iota separate from source energy. You are source energy. Kind of like the story that I hear and experience is that source energy, when it was just one, it was there for eternity. It didn't know how long, but it figured out how to go inside of itself, look inside, and then it split into two. Well, it was so happy that there was somebody else. It didn't give a bunch of rules. It said, let's just go play and discover, right? And so in this playing and discovering what we are, we're still in that state if we come back to that magical consciousness, right?
Yes, that's the state of that's the true magic, is what it's all about, is the expression of that true sovereignty, or the universal will, as I called it in one of my lectures on magic before. It's that universal will that is you, that is your will. It's all one source of reality. This is the source of your reality. It's the heart of your creation as a universal creator being. That's the way I view that magical place. That's you. And a lot of people call that self higher self. But what are you saying right now, and what I think is a very important topic, is reclaiming this sovereignty. And so as you and me, we can today have a conversation about what it means for us individually, being individually sovereign creator beings in this reality, in this collective reality right now, and what we're going through, and why this is the path to empowerment and to enlightenment, as some people say. But I say it's not so much enlightenment, because this is going on a much deeper levels than just a light body. We're talking about fields, living fields of creation that are invisible, unmeasurable. In this reality. This is what we're talking about, where we're talking about who we truly are on that level as a magical beings.
Yes.
And that's who we are as human beings. We are magical beings, meaning we have the universal will embedded in our original DNA. That's who we are.
When it was through the information, your information, where I heard about it the first time, about this fact that it was at one time illegal to look inside and see the living self, the blood, the living aspect of ourself, that we're alive inside. And it was actually against the law at one point, and people were actually killed over that because they got to see it.
Yes, it's the essence or the lifeblood as I call
Yes.
it too, as well. The lifeblood, the essence, or the living original DNA that is, if you go into Gnostics terminology, that would be the pleroma or the eon.
Yeah.
Um,
Or the vril or the blah blah blah. We can go on and on.
we can go on and on, yes.
It's that energy inside of us. Now, what would happen if you fell in love with that energy? What if you put your hand on your heart and actually felt that energy inside of yourself and actually gave yourself or gave love to that energy? What would start to happen? Well, we'd start to reclaim that energy. We'd start to awaken to that energy again. And the part about being sovereign is the fact that I'm going to say something here that may or may not, but we realize that we're not in a collective anymore, that it is a sovereign relationship with the source energy, that you're an equal creator. Is that okay to say?
That's actually beautifully said. It's because that this individual sovereign state of being, there's no hierarchy whatsoever, not even a hint, not a drop, not an ounce of it. So there is no, because what we know here, and it's funny because we were talking about being lost in terminology sometimes before the show. But what I'm saying is that the sovereignty of being, it's almost like a paradox, because reclaiming that which you already are, it's almost a paradox, but at the same time, there is almost like a shedding experience that we have to go through. And I always say, and a lot of people that go through this self-metamorphosis or self-initiation into this occult, true occult, that is this essence, knowing the self, know the self, or know the God within, or all of those things. This is a self-metamorphosis process of going within and reclaiming the reality that
the true reality.
The true reality that is driven by that essence, or that spirit of the living thought, of the living field of creation, that expression. And this is why I think we also know how important it is to align the body to the spirit essence of who you are. And I think this is the first stage in this metamorphosis process, is to align mind, body, and soul, as some people say, but there's more to it, of course, than just that simple alignment of the mental flow of thinking. There is more to it. What I say, it's almost like an inversion. And so what ends up happening as we reclaiming our sovereignty here, it seems like that we came in sovereign, knowing, and I share that with you, that knowing, coming into this reality, knowing that you are that sovereign being, you are a universal being in this reality, and then you go beyond it, and then you exist beyond the matrix. And that for me been with me, like I say, from the very beginning of this incarnation. So when I talk to people like you that experience the same thing, for us what happens is this process of reclaiming our sovereignty is almost like we're doing it backwards. We're already sovereign, and this is where there's a paradox, because we're almost like have to unveil our sovereign self into this reality, and that's how we do it in some inside out way. And this is what I call, it's like spiritual science to me. And
for a long time, they had us focusing on our higher self that was outside of us. Okay. Now, if you just think about the linguistics of that higher self, calling it higher self, it's not in you, is it?
No.
And so I started out working with people, bringing their self into their higher self, so they were one, and anchoring it in, because out there, it'll always be like God out there somewhere, right? And so bringing it in and experiencing that, and then stumbled onto something else, which was the child within, the inner child. Now, a lot of people have this place in their childhood where the not so good things happened in childhood, and so they never go beyond that. Before that, when the child came in knowing what they knew, right? So when we get in touch with that aspect as well, and we start listening to it, it knows all the answers because it came in, right? So what we have to do is ways to deal with this that happened in between easily, effortlessly, just, it's got a purpose now. We need to move through this and get to this, right? Not stay stuck in here, which you see a lot of people stay stuck in the therapy aspect of it, and they never get out of it. We need to go beyond that to the point where then it gives it reason and purpose. It gives it reason why we were suppressed like that. Because once you figure out what this is, before that, the child, that opens everything up.
Yes, because we are, as children, we have access to that living etheric field a lot more, because that's where we're naturally, because that's our natural state of being. So we're in our natural environment more. So as children, we just connect to that naturally. And then, of course, all these programs start being pumped in to separate us from our natural and put it in and redirect the spiritual growth is into unnatural path. And that's basically what this is all about. And this is what when I talk about the core of deception here, I talk about the God program, or the imposter God. This process of sovereignty, people talk about sovereignty, and even I think it was 2014 still, might have been 2015, when I was talking in my videos about the fact that the sovereignty that people were talking about, even in alternative spiritual communities, were still built on the hierarchical structure of oppression and matrix system, and it was not proper. So this is why I'm coming back to this subject again, because it's very empowering to understand when you really want to step on this self-metamorphosis process, you gotta know yourself. Because how can you walk a path that you don't even know who you are? But who you are is the first step. That's a first question you give yourself when you're ready to self-initiate yourself into this process. But then once you start looking for who you truly are, this is the process, what you were even talked about earlier. It's of that sort of shedding and expanding that higher self from within you, because it was within you to begin with, because you are the source creator being in human form. You are the original, people call it angelic human. Okay, that's fine. Call it that, whatever it is you want to call it. That thing is, it's the essence of who you are. It's that what gives you the natural human intelligence, because aren't all this matrix is nothing but a replica of the original human intelligence, no matter what civilization, because we have monuments to this natural human intelligence. Take the pyramids in Egypt. Take the pyramids here in Mexico, just, a short drive away from where I am right now. That's, to me, is a monument to human natural intelligence.
Do you know what pyramid means? It means the fire in the middle. They were erected for the reason that we would never forget and always remember the God within.
So we can never forget our natural state of
Yes.
being. And that's what it's all about. And in our natural state of being, we are that sovereignty. We are the God. We are the moral code for
Yes.
for all of it, because it's there. It's at the source of our breath.
I am that looks through my eyes. I have never been born, nor will I ever die. I am eternal, as all are. We start looking at it from this point of view. It's a different consciousness, a consciousness that's been suppressed and buried for thousands of years within human beings. One of the reasons that I went to Greece was to take a look at what really happened in Greece, to get a feel for it, because there was supposed to have been a Greek god named Zeus that split humans in two psychologically, so that he could suppress, divided together we stand, divided we fall. Well, that happens with everything. And so I wanted to feel it. I wanted to sense it. I wanted to experience what that is, and also to see in Greece, with the people of Greece, whether we could bring back that God consciousness. Since it started there, and it worked just fine. People can bring that back into their sovereign state. But see, the sovereign state is God I am as all are. But it's a different consciousness. It's kind of like, when you see that black and white three-dimensional drawing of a box, and you look at it, and after a little while of looking at it, it seems like it just flips to the other, right? Well, this is what's happening. This is a psychological flip that's happening to humanity very quickly here. And they're flipping and realizing that they are the creator in all of this.
Whatever perspective you want to look at, or whatever terminology or ancient teachings approach you're going to take to this, it brings you back to that individual stand. And this is why I feel it is so important for us to focus right now on empowering each individual to take this warrior stand for themselves. Because the one very important point to this stand of sovereignty in your being, in your creator being, it's huge, because without us, like you were saying, individually taking this stand, it can never be done for us by any external forces, right?
No.
And so this is the topic which brings us into, what is this sovereign stand, and how to discover your sovereign being that is the God self, and then why it is so important to actually self-initiate your being into this return of the warrior, and do this for yourself on the individual level.
In owning this is my life, right? Now we have to take a look at the law of free will. The law of free will is that source energy freely gives to you everything that it is, because if it limited you, it would limit itself. So that's the true law. Okay, so you have every ability and everything that source energy has. Okay, so there's nothing outside of that. So owning that, knowing that you're source energy, and that you're allowed to be and have every right to your own divine life. Nothing seen or unseen, above, below, in or out, has any right to your life but you. When you start owning your own life, then you start coming into this state of again, sovereignty, with source energy as a single stream. No middlemen, no hierarchies, no angels, nothing, just straight connection. That's where the corruption starts. Okay? You are source energy, period. Right? When you can own that, when you can say that and own that, then you're going to shift the frequency. Now you're going to tell the real difference between what is the frequency of the overlay, and you're going to be able to go, poop, poop, that's not me. I know the vibration. And you're also going to begin to see that a lot of the things that we're getting so freaked out about and everything else, that we're actually co-creating it through our fear. Okay, we're manifesting it as sovereign gods, and we need to wake up. We need to realize that we say, okay, this is happening. This is happening. This, I don't know how many times the world was supposed to end just this last year alone, and you buy into that, and oh my God, and get freaked out and whatever. But the thing of it is that when you realize that you're eternal, when you realize that inside of you, the universe is inside of you, and all you have to do is take that meteor or whatever it is and just give it a bit of a move inside of you. When you start realizing that you're this same as source energy, what loving being wouldn't want you to be like it, right? What?
Exactly, and that's what then this becomes also an understanding how you are protected.
Yes.
It's not like you do magic, through a black or white magic even. It's different because it's almost like this field it's within you, but once you operate on it, you expand that, and there is then nothing that can penetrate this, because this is all that it is. It's more powerful than any other external force or energy or anything.
When you accept that you're a sovereign being, that you are source energy, you're a beam of source energy right here, right? And that all things are created by you, by your attention, your awareness to something brings life to it. Right now, I could mention the big toe in your right foot, but you didn't know you had one until I mentioned it, because your awareness went there. Once your awareness goes there, now you become more aware of it, you see? Think about that. Awareness brings life to things. We're still the original creators. We're still the originals.
We're trying to talk about frequency and vibrations and and quantum fields and all kinds of things that make us us and how we work that way. But really,
we're doing it in a very simplistic way.
It's very simple in a way once you have this center core operation in place for your existence here. Once you get that, once you, as I call it in the past, once you anchor your being in the living grid of creation, then you're sort of in the center or in the eye of the storm, because yes. I think we know, and the reason why I think, Dwaine, we came here carrying some sort of memories of sovereign state of being, and we are here for, and there was a reason that we did come in that way with that kind of memory, is so then we right now can remember, and we can remember together as well. I think we can maybe say a few more things why it is really important right now to stand in this power that is the human essence, because that is the potential from what we grow, and the evolution of human consciousness. is what we're focusing on. And so if we are to evolve our consciousness, because I think at this point, many of us, and with people that I am having conversations with, we're all sort of on the same page. We understand that the human consciousness is in evolution, and this evolution is about to take a huge leap. And this is what we want to focus on, because we want to focus on bringing that evolution of human consciousness and potential into this expanding correction, as I call it, correction timeline, to where we can redirect our consciousness and come out of the degraded levels and overlays and expand the true higher beingness, which is supported by universe, which is the living grid of all life, which is unnameable, is undescribable, as Gnostics call it. What we are, that's who we are at the core of our being. So knowing that fact about ourselves and standing in that being, in that sovereign being, it gives us the ability, the responsibility to implement, as I say, correction timeline in this reality. And that's the focus here.
The one thing to give a little relief to people about the idea that that responsibility, you were responsible anyway. It was all you anyway. So, you know, just step into what is you. I mean, you were already creating it all anyway. You were already manifesting everything. Okay? But now you're stepping into this, and this is this is the time for it, because of course you can see external movements to scare people and bring them into ideas that were controlled and all of this stuff. But thank God for it all. Because if it wasn't for that, you'd never discover this. You'd never discover what's inside of you. And it took that to wake people up, to bring them back into that state of being inside of themselves, where they were one with the sovereign source energy, sovereign with source energy, and come out of this and see who they are and evolve. You know, like I say, like sand in that plate, there's dissonance first as you change the frequency, and then it forms into a new geometric shape, and we're heading into a new geometric shape. But it takes us just to simply come into our own individually, boom, 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 boom. And then the vibration of the planet changes. It can't help but, right?
Yeah, and so having a little bit of memory coming in with the memory and stuff, what I call sometimes that timeless record, once you visit once in a while sometimes. And I've talked about this in the past. When I was 13, I become aware or conscious of this very fact that the time will come of this correction or lifting of the veil, or whatever, how many names people wanted to say about this period of time, quickening and other things. But here we are. We knew that this time of the individuals that are empowered and standing strong will come together to where we are creating this living grid, collective human consciousness, living grid evolution. So
we're stepping out of...
We are creating the conscious evolution right here, right now.
Yeah.
It is a consciousness, human consciousness evolution. We are creating it right now. And so what we do, how we do it, matters. It matters huge. And so what matters the most, I think, for each individual right now is the discovery of your own sovereignty, your own sovereign stand, or I call a warrior stand. Once you discover that, then you are equipped to implement correction in this reality and own it fully and do as humanity needs to do, so then the consciousness evolves.
One of the ways to do that, put your hand on your heart and go inside and feel that energy inside of you that's connected, that is source energy, that flows, that is the essence of you. It flows through every tree, every bird, every animal. It's the living God, the alive God. And when you put your hand on your heart and you just connect with that and you love it, send love to it, there's a spark that starts to happen inside of your being. And when that spark happens, just fan it with more love. And I know it sounds like a weird stance for a warrior stance, but it is. It is, because once you come into truth, then you will never let go of it again. You'll say, no, I know the difference between truth and untruth. And you'll come into this powerful stance within yourself.
I call it's a human superpower.
Yes.
Because it's invisible. We're talking about etheric fields. We're talking about psychic field. We're talking about, the invisible energy. And so when I speak of the warrior, then I speak of that spiritual warrior, to where
Yes.
you are equipped in etheric planes, in astral planes, and so on and so forth, so to speak. But this path and this, empowerment or acknowledgement of your own true self is, like you said, once you acknowledge that you are the source creation and you expand on that, you will feel the life force, because it is the life force, like you said, it's
It is.
life. You will feel that life force within you, and you will feel it, and that's your connection. You don't need to go through all kinds of jumping through all kinds of hoops set up by middlemen, be it whoever they are. Just step into yourself, into your true self, and there you will find that living field. And this is what, this is what is at the source of your breath. This is what drives us to be here, having this conversation, following the joy of expression of this freedom and this sovereign being that is me, that is Dwaine today. So this talk was really beautiful because it's simple. It's the first step, right? And sometimes I call it's baby steps. Baby steps to let go any and all structures that are inverted, incorrect, or you think, maybe there is some truth there, there's some truth there. Just let it all go and start, like Dwaine said, right? Start with here. Start with the spark that is you, because once that spark turns into flame, you're a warrior and you're a spiritual warrior, and there is nothing that'll take you off your path. Nothing.
When you look at another, see that spark in them.
Because it's there.
From the spark in you, from the spark in you to the spark in them. And this changes things.
And yes, it changes things, and this is how everything changes. And right now, and this is the levels of the energetic connection that we connect as human beings. This is our superpower. So thank you, Dwaine, for being here today.
Blessings.
I love this conversation. I think we need to have another one, and maybe do another,
Yes.
Another subject, pick another subject or something. This is only the beginning.
I know.
This is only the beginning. I think we both agree with this. This is the beginning of very incredible and beautiful discovery for humanity that we're stepping into.
Yes.
for human consciousness, and we're here celebrating. I honestly am celebrating the relationships, the friendships that this my own self-discovery path had brought me to, you know, to all these different other realities and other people and their realities and their path, and you're one of these people that I'm just like, wow, it's one of, he's on my team. I want to say Dwaine is on my team, and it really, well, we are the team. We are the team of human team. We're here for humanity and to bring forth the human consciousness evolution. And so, yeah. Dwaine, you contribute to humanity, spiritual growth, and I thank you for that.
And I thank you.
Your pure essence, and for me to have the ability to feel that, and I'm very grateful that Mother Nature had gifted me with this ability to feel this energy in other people and to recognize and acknowledge that in others. And because by acknowledging that in you, I acknowledge that within myself. So I want to thank you so much for being on here. And if anybody wants to find you, because you do sessions and other things, there's your website, DwaineHartman.com.
DwaineHartman.com, DWAINE, Hartman, HARTMAN.com.
Beautiful. Thank you, Dwaine, so much for being here. Anything you want to add to that before we go?
Oh, I'm just, I'm having a training. It's the Hartman approach to hypnotherapy, and it's starting here very soon, within 5 days, 6 days. Also, I do online events, and I travel around, as you know, around the world doing events as well. So you can catch me here or there, but you can just come to the website and find out what I'm up to.
Beautiful. Thank you, Dwaine, for being here. Stay wild, everybody.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.